Kiet mille felice. 100,000 welcomes to this episode of Restoring the Past. I have a real treat for you all today, and I'm very excited to show this on the channel. In this episode, I will demonstrate how to conserve an 18th century Scottish basket-hilt sword. But before we do, let's take a quick look at this amazing weapon. The Scottish basket-hilt has developed a fearsome reputation, and for good reason. There are several accounts of these swords lobbing off heads, cleaving skulls in two, and causing all manner of horrific injuries on the battlefield. It's a real beast. Made from 2.5 pounds of German and Scottish steel. The sword is 40.5 inches long, or 103 centimeters, with a 34 3/4 inch blade, or 88.26 centimeters. This gives the sword incredible reach and power. The blade is of superior quality, imported from Solingen, Germany, one of the most renowned sword-producing areas on Earth. The blade features 2 deep fullers, which not only add strength to the blade, but also help reduce its weight, making it swift and agile. Blade is a backsword, meaning it's single-edged, with a flat, robust spine. The backsword provides the user with tremendous versatility on how the sword can be wielded. It's ideal for slashing, and the flat spine allows it to be gripped and thrust upon as needed. The blade was affixed to a custom wrought iron hilt of Scottish manufacture, and is a testament to the craftsmanship and artistry of Scottish armourers. The aesthetic appeal of the hilt is most apparent when the hilt is viewed from the front, revealing the symmetry and artistic merit of its robust construction. The hilt is made from hardwood, carved with spiral grooves, then covered with sturdy leather and a fine wire braid in order to provide a better grip, and is finished in an elegant Turk's head. The hilt is signed on top of the wristguard quillen, but as of yet remains unidentified. So now that we know a little bit more about the sword, let's discuss how we plan on conserving it. I will be taking a very delicate approach because I want to preserve as much of the amazing patina and original oxide finish as possible. Yes, you heard me right. This sword, as you can see, still retains a lot of its original browned or russet oxide finish. Get out! This is truly astonishing, because many swords after a century or two of damp, unfavorable storage conditions and neglect has led to rust eventually getting the upper hand, and subsequent cleaning and polishing efforts, no matter how well intentioned, has only completed the destruction of these original finishes. The worst case is when this brown oxide finish has sometimes even been deliberately removed, either through ignorance or the popular desire for a bright or white finished hilt. At first glance, the brown finish might be easily mistaken as rust, and I see why people would want to try and clean it. But luckily, I recognize this brown surface for what it is, and I will do everything in my power to keep it intact. The goals of this project are minimal and straightforward. Preservation and conservation are the key words which will determine every aspect of this project's parameters. I want to maintain as much of its current state as possible and stabilize the sword in order to prevent further deterioration. In order to accomplish this, I will maintain all the original russet oxide finish on the basket. I will only gently clean the blade of any active rust and not remove any patina or color it has developed over time. Once the surface areas are cleaned from dirt, grease, and contaminants, I will wax everything to protect it from the environment and lock in the amazing appearance of the piece. And that's about it. This will be a minimally invasive project, geared more towards the conservation of the basket hilt, rather than any large-scale restoration effort. This sword simply does not require any significant effort to keep it on track, but recognizing this is the first step in protecting its historical value and preserving it for future generations. It won't take a lot of materials to conserve this sword. Less is more with this particular project. I will only be using a few things: mineral spirits or white spirits, and if you don't have access to either of those, paint thinner will do as well. latex gloves to apply the mineral spirits, cotton gloves to handle the sword, cotton swabs to apply and remove the spirits, as well as other contaminants, Renaissance microcrystalline wax to seal everything in and protect it from handling in the environment going forward. I'll go over a few basic terms I'll be using while discussing certain parts of the basket-hilt, so we are all on the same page when I say certain things. Scottish basket-hilts are very complicated, and as a result, there are a lot of terms used to describe specific parts of the basket and sword. I know it can seem overwhelming, so please use these next 3 illustrations as a guide, and just come back to this part of the video whenever you need a refresher. At least now, you'll have an idea of what I'm talking about when I mention specific things if you are not already familiar with it. So just pause the video if you have to, and take some time to become familiar with these terms. Let's take a look at what we have here. The blade is a fine quality, straight back sword with 2 fullers running nearly the full length of the blade. The blade transitions from a backsword to a broadsword and is double-edged where the fullers begin to fade out towards the tip. I don't see any markings on the blade. The blade also appears to be the original backsword associated to this hilt. Based upon the style, shape, and position of the fullers, I believe this blade was made as a backsword and did not start out as a broadsword. Many basket hilts now feature a backsword blade, but when they were first created, most started out as broadswords, as seen in this amazing late 17th century example. A lot of the early heavy broadsword blades favored by Scottish Highlanders were ground down on one edge in order to accommodate the change in taste and style of later years, which tended to favor backswords over broadswords, as seen in this beautiful 1715 example featuring a distinctive Glasgow-style hilt. Like many Scottish swords of the period, this one has seen a long working life, and the blade has been modified during its time of use. When the blade was originally forged, it would have been double-edged and slightly broader than it is now. However, at some point, likely in the early 18th century, it has been intentionally slightly ground back along one side during its working life to create a back edge in proportion with the blade taper. Due to this modification, the fullers are no longer centered in the middle, as would be usual with a broadsword blade of this type, but instead are nearer to the regressed back edge than the cutting edge, as you can see here. Judging by the placement of the fullers on this sword, it's reasonable to assume that it started out its life as a backsword and still remains a backsword. So I don't think this sword started out as a broadsword and was modified and then ground down into a backsword. I think what we see now is what it always was. If we take a detailed look at the blade, you can see that the condition is not that bad. It's actually really nice when we compare it to something like the towel we restored in the last episode, for example. The fullers are deep and well proportioned. It also appears that some of the original bluing or blue oxide finish, in this case dark blue, almost black, has been preserved. It's more intact towards the tip of the blade and generally becomes less and less as we progress down the blade towards the ricasso. This helps provide us with an idea of what the blades would have originally looked like on Scottish basket hilts, because as we know, bare shiny metal, or white finish as it was known, was a relatively rare sight on antique arms and armor until the late 18th and early 19th century, when mass production diminished the need to protect the condition of the metal from which they were made. So this is another amazing feature of this sword, which we want to preserve. It's really a sword that keeps on giving. It's in a remarkable state of original preservation, and we want to do everything we can to keep it this way. Moving on, let's talk about the basket. It's a full basket, executed in typical style, with an arrowhead and dots pattern. Some refer to the arrowheads as diamonds or hearts, depending on the placement of the circles towards the bottom. Zooming in on the main knuckle guard reveals that there is some active rust here, along with the russet oxide finish. This is very evident in two places. See how the color and texture are slightly different, but the two have blended quite well together and help form a seamless transition to the naked eye. I won't do anything to try and remove this rust because it has already developed into a more stabilized brown rust, but I will gently clean it, very gently, and then seal it with wax to further stabilize the oxidization process. The linear engraving embellishments here are confidently executed and add to the overall aesthetic. The lines are still deep, lots of sharp detail. Yeah, they just look fantastic. The hilt is constructed from well-rounded, thick, and carefully shaped saltire bars. The inside of the basket has rusted more than other areas. Here too, I will just gently clean it and then wax it to seal in all the uniform color that has developed over the years. Here we get a nice view of the wrist guard quillin. It's thick and rolled beautifully into shape. Here's a great view of the side knuckle guard with the amazing oxide finish. The arrowheads are also referred to as diamonds by some. The symmetry of the basket is particularly nice. Few if any of these baskets were made to be symmetrical, but this one is as close as you get, which further adds to the overall appearance. It's very similar in appearance as the sword worn by Lord George Gordon, the 5th Duke of Gordon, in this painting. The forward guard bars are also nicely spaced and well defined. It's just lovely. Here you can see how nicely formed and thick the saltire bars are. They are beautiful, and the rounded shape helps give the sword a lighter and more refined appearance. The ram's horns are also well executed and feature a decorative heart, which not only adds aesthetic beauty to the weapon, but also reduces its weight. It's a really nice element to have here. There's a signature or stamp on the wrist guard quillin, but I can't make it out. Don't know exactly. Is it a C for Robert Craig, who was a lorimer or hilt maker in 1721? The dates line up, as does the larger indentation surrounding the C. Or is it the remains of an S, which could possibly attribute it to the likes of John Allen Sr., John Allen Jr., or John Simpson? It's hard to say right now, but this mark is definitely something I will do further research on to try to pin down the exact attribution. If anyone out there has any suggestions regarding who this mark is associated to, I would love to hear from you in the comments or by email. The pommel on this sword is cone-shaped with a waisted tang button that is particularly well designed and executed. The pommel is further enhanced by 4 wide, deep linear carvings supported by 2 flanking incise lines, which divides the pommel into quarters. These engravings are sharp and precise and create a beautiful effect, which helps augment the pommel into a prized feature of the sword. The lines are clean, the carving confident. Just beautiful. What a little gem. Beginning in the 17th century, the guards on basket hilts were wedged into a shallow groove incised around the middle of the pommel. You can see this here, and this method of construction persisted until the 3rd quarter of the 18th century. It's very delicate and precise workmanship. The grip is also interesting and finely executed. The wooden grip is carved with spiral grooves, wrapped in leather, and still retains its fine wire braid weave, tied into place in a Turk's head. Many basket hilts of this period have shagreen handles wrapped in wire, but in this case the shagreen was replaced with leather. The leather is high quality and appears original, as does the wire braid in the Turk's head. There is a little bit of rust that has formed on the wire, and it's loose in some places, but these issues are not significant enough to warrant any mechanical action. I'll just clean these areas very carefully with a cotton swab and then apply wax. I don't want to risk harming the leather here or loosening the braids any further. They are still in remarkable shape, so I just want to lock in its current condition and stabilize the grip from further deterioration. The braiding is very fine and well executed. It helps give this rugged sword a more refined and elegant appearance. Now that we've discussed the sword and know what we're working on, let's get started with the conservation. The first thing I will do is gently clean the blade using mineral spirits and a soft cotton swab. I won't be using paper towel or anything else other than cotton, because paper towel is too abrasive and will scratch the blade and give it a dull appearance. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're not sure, just always use cotton. Just take your cotton swab and put some mineral spirits. So nothing fancy, just take your cotton swab and put some mineral spirits on there. Doesn't take much. I want to be very non-invasive here, and just dab some spirits onto the cotton and just gently wipe it from the ricasso towards the tip. Go back and forth very gently. I'm hardly using any pressure here at all. Just back and forth. You can see how much active surface rust, dirt, grime, and grease I'm taking off here. It's amazing how well this works. It's amazing how well this works. So I'll dab on some more spirits and continue this exact same process over and over until I don't see any more residue on the swab. Just gently rub, barely any pressure. Let the spirits do all the work and the cotton to absorb all that unwanted material. Same rules apply to the tip. I'll take extra care here so I don't disturb any of that original bluing. We want all of that to stay on there, so we will disturb it as little as possible. Just keep changing the cotton swabs frequently to make sure there's nothing on there that can scratch the blade. Rub, rinse, remove. That's it. So looking at the blade, you can see there's still remnants of what appears to be the original bluing on the sword. This is just incredible that it's there. It's been preserved in areas that have been harder to rub and to get at. It's just another amazing original feature of this sword. Time for my favorite part of the project, waxing. I only use Renaissance microcrystalline wax for all my projects. Just take a clean cotton cloth and put some wax on there. Doesn't take much with this stuff. Less is more. It's a fantastic wax that spreads out evenly over a wide area. Just apply it by going around in tiny circles to make sure it gets in everywhere. I'm not using a lot of pressure. Just keep making small circles and be sure to cover everywhere. You can usually tell pretty easily the areas you have done by the slight change in color. I find this step very therapeutic, and it's satisfying to know that the piece is being covered in a protective layer that will keep it safe from the environment and handling. So just keep doing this until every single inch of the sword is covered. I finished applying wax to the blade, so I'm going to move on to the hilt while I wait for the wax to harden. It doesn't take that long, usually about 15 to 20 minutes or so. You'll know the wax is ready when it gets hard and develops a whitish appearance, and your swirls look like they are encased in stone. Just take your time with it. Make sure you get the wax into all the little crevices, nooks and crannies. Just enjoy the final process of a job well done. Some parts of the basket hilt, such as the saltier bars and the button tang, are more difficult areas to apply the wax using small circles. So just do whatever you need to do in order to get the wax on there. A straight swiping motion is fine for these areas, but just do the best you can with it. Now, time for the best part, removing the wax. There's no trick to this, just take a clean cotton cloth and buff off the wax. Take care not to use too much pressure, and be sure to watch out for any protruding parts which might snag your cloth and cause damage to the sword. I'm especially mindful of this when I wax and buff the grip. The wires are delicate, so I want to take my time here and use extreme caution, not to cause any damage to the wire or leather. Just be patient and enjoy the process and remember what you're accomplishing. Now that the sword is clean and waxed, let's take a look to see how it turned out. Here you can see how well the wire braiding came out with just a little bit of light cleaning. It didn't take much at all to turn this actively rusting Turk's head into a stable work of art. I'm very pleased with this and how the braiding turned out, because this is a sensitive area and I had to use extra care to make sure I got all the active rust off without harming the leather. Just look at the pommel now. It looks gorgeous, and I especially love the tang button. It's more detailed compared to most I've seen. It's a really nice feature, which is glowing now thanks to the wax. Here we get a nice view of what appears to be some of the original bluing, which has been preserved in the ricasso. The blade turned out really well. It's not shiny at all. It's just clean of contaminants and active rust, and should require minimal care going forward. The spine of the blade is looking healthy, and the blade is still very straight. It does not have any waviness to it at all. It's in remarkable structural condition. When I pick it up, it just feels right. It's 2.5 pounds of German and Scottish steel, which is well balanced and surprisingly agile. There's plenty of room in there for my hand to move around, but most of all, look at how much protection it offers. I feel as though my hand has just crawled into a cozy, safe place to wait out a winter storm. The sword exudes confidence, which is highly contagious. Basket-Hilt evolved from the declining use of gauntlets and large shields on European battlefields. They are essentially a compromise which bridges the gap between having a cumbersome shield versus nothing at all. The basket not only protects the hand, but when it's raised in a fighting stance in front of you, actually makes a formidable obstacle that an opponent must get around in order to strike you. This makes the Basket-Hilt a tremendously effective weapon in my opinion, and it comes as no surprise that this type of sword persisted on British battlefields until the Battle of Culloden in 1746. However, Culloden was not the end of the Basket-Hilt, since it was copied and adopted by Highland regiments, which can still be found today. That's it for this episode of Restoring the Past. I hope you have enjoyed this video and that you were able to take something away to help you with your projects. Just try to keep in mind that sometimes it's a fine line between restoration, conservation, and preservation. At other times, items might require a combination of all these things. But for this sword, my efforts were focused more on the conservation side of things, because the condition of the sword dictated the nature of my actions. There was no need to carry out any type of mechanical intervention here. The main goal of this project was to gently clean the sword of contaminants that could harm its long-term care and potentially deteriorate that all-important oxide finish. The oxide finish is truly the star of this show, and I hope everyone got an opportunity to see this once common feature, which is now a rare and often forgotten aspect when it comes to antique arms and armor. I really can't understate the amazing original condition of this Basket-Hilt. The sword has never been cleaned and retains its original oxide finish. This is an absolute miracle. Just imagine what this sword must have gone through. Likely 2 Jacobite risings, the 1715 and 45, the impacts of climate, handling, and storage. Honestly, this sword should buy a lottery ticket. For those of you who want to learn more about oxide finishes, please check out my other video, Did Knights Wear Shining Armor? I will also be doing a video on the type of historic finishes that would have been found on antique Scottish basket-hilts, so please stay tuned for that. I hope you can all get out there and enjoy everything that history has to offer. As always, good luck with your projects, thanks for watching, and please subscribe. See you next time. Marschen lief en drausten.